Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, we will go ahead and learn about creating the navigation bar for our website. So as you can see right now, our website does not have any kind of a navigation bar in here. And now we will go ahead and learn how to create a nav bar. Now, this creation of navbar is not actually a part of Django. That is, it has got nothing to do with Django. It's completely a simple HTML and some CSS styling along with using some sort of a framework called Bootstrap. But the main thing which you need to learn over here is that this navigation bar is the static part of your website, and Django is actually going to handle the dynamic part of your website. And the main reason why we are learning about the static part is because you should be able to know how to integrate the static part of your website with the dynamic part. So that's the sole purpose of learning about creating a nav bar in here. You can skip this tutorial if you want to, but if you want to learn how to create a nav bar, then let's go ahead and learn how to do that. So let's first go over here and let's search for something which is called as Bootstrap. So what exactly is Bootstrap? So just as Django is a backend framework, Bootstrap is actually a front-end framework, meaning we can design front-end using Bootstrap, and it has some pre-written code, and it helps us to go ahead and create designs very quickly without having to write some code from scratch. So in order to use Bootstrap, what you can do is that you can simply go to getbootstrap.com, or you can simply search for Bootstrap, and the first link which pops up is going to be the official Bootstrap link. You can simply click over there. And now in order to use Bootstrap, click over here on download, and you can use Bootstrap in two ways. The first thing which you can do is that you can download Bootstrap on your computer, and you can simply go ahead and install it and use that. But a simpler way is to directly go ahead and use the Bootstrap CDN. So what exactly is a Bootstrap CDN? A Bootstrap CDN is nothing but it stands for Content Delivery Network, and what you simply have to do is that you have to copy the link for the Bootstrap CDN, and you simply have to include that link into your file. Now when you go ahead and include that link into your file, what happens is that you don't have to manually go ahead and have Bootstrap installed, but instead this link is actually going to go ahead and load up some Bootstrap code automatically into your browser, and Bootstrap will start working on your website. So for now we will simply go ahead and copy that, and now we need to go ahead and paste this code in the index.html file in the head tag over here. So simply go ahead, go over here and paste this code, which is the Bootstrap code. And now if you go ahead and paste that thing in, save the code, and if you want to make sure that Bootstrap is properly set up, you simply go over here and hit refresh. So as you can see, as soon as I hit refresh, the font of these particular text actually changed, and this change was only made because we have included the Bootstrap CDN link over here, and this is an indication that we have successfully added Bootstrap to our index.html page. Okay, so that's all fine and cool, and now let's go ahead and learn how to create a nav bar in Bootstrap. So let's go over here in the body tag now, because here's where we want the navbar to be present. And in here what we will do is that we'll start writing the navbar from here. So in order to create a navbar, first of all we use a tag which is called as nav. So let's go ahead and do that. And within this tag we are actually going to design our navbar. Now what Bootstrap does is that Bootstrap actually comes with a bunch of inbuilt classes which we can use to directly create elements. So for example, if you want to go ahead and style this nav, you have two ways to do so. The first way is that you can manually go inside the style.css file and style the navbar by yourself, or you can simply go ahead and use an inbuilt Bootstrap class and assign that class to this particular nav so that this nav is going to be automatically styled. So for example, you can type in nav class equals navbar, and that's actually going to go ahead and create the navigation bar for you. Now once we have this navigation bar, let's say if you want to make this navigation bar of a black or a darker color. So for that you can again go ahead and add in a class which is called as navbar-dark. Now remember that these are the inbuilt bootstrap classes and you can go ahead and use them. And let's say if you want to make the background of the navbar to dark, so you can type in bg-dark as another class, and now you will have your navbar on your website. So if you go ahead and hit refresh, as you can see, we now have our little navbar right over here. Now the size of this navbar is actually small because we have not yet added any sort of content in here, but now let's go ahead and do that as well. So now on this particular navbar, now we need to have the links. So the first thing which we want on our navbar is that we want our app name right over here. So let's go ahead and add that. So the app name is going to be nothing but a link. So we'll type in href, and for now let's set the value to hash. And now we will again go ahead and make use of a bootstrap class in here. So we'll type in class equals, and whenever you want to add a logo or the name of your application, you have to use a class which is called as navbar-brand. Now simply go ahead and close this tag over here, and let's say the name of our application is food app. Now let's go ahead, save the code, and see what do we get over here. So if I hit refresh, as you can see, now we have our app name right over here. Now let's say if you want to add some nav items right over here. So we can do that by creating another class over here. So right after this thing ends, I'll create a new class. I'll type in div class equals navbar, and this is going to be the rightmost part of the navbar, which is going to contain all the items. So here I'll type in a link. So that's going to have a class which is called as nav item, meaning that this is an item of a navigation bar. And now let's set the href of this thing. Let's say something as hash. And now let's say I say something like menu item over here for now as a placeholder. So once we have this thing, let's go ahead and see how this thing looks like. So when I hit refresh, as you can see, we have menu item over here on the extreme right. So now let's go ahead and copy that and paste it in a few more times. And let's say instead of having menu item over here, we say something like, let's say add item. That is an option to add item. Let's say we say something like delete item, and let's say we say something like view item over here. Now these are just dummy names, and we are actually going to change them as we move along in the course, but for now let's actually keep them as it is. So now if we go back and hit refresh, as you can see, now we have all the menu items added up right over here. So that means we have successfully designed the navigation bar in here, and in order to make it look a little bit better, you can also go ahead and add in another bootstrap class which is called as navlink. So you can simply go ahead and type in nav-link in each of these nav items, stating that this is actually a navigation bar which has a bunch of links. So once we go ahead, do that, and once we hit refresh, as you can see, now it actually removed the underline from these elements, and they also added a little bit of padding and a margin to it. So as you can see, our menu is absolutely ready, but there is one issue with this particular menu, and we are going to discuss about this issue in the next lecture. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.